How do you recognize when someone is experiencing gender-based violence, and how can you support them? And the first and biggest thing is believing them.
Manitoba is seeing an increase in families impacted by gender based violence compared to previous years. Tsungai Movingi from the Manitoba Association of Women's Shelters says they are seeing a difference of at least 1,000 more families using their services in the past year, calling into their crisis line either for counseling or a safe place to stay. There has also been an increase in the length of their stay at the shelters before they are able to transition back into the community.
We're finding that the average has jumped from between 9 to 13 days to now 2 to 3 months where families are staying with us.
Mavingi says their shelters are consistently operating at or over capacity, and this is a problem across Manitoba. She says they have been seeing an increase since the COVID-19 pandemic, adding that there is also the economic factor of people struggling to make ends meet. She says that in addition to higher numbers, they are also seeing families come in with more complex traumas and an escalation in the level of violence the families are experiencing. She says they work to accommodate everyone that seeks help from them as they don't want to turn people away. But more funding and access to housing options are needed to meet this rising need in the community.
More funding to be able to increase shelter space, to have more transitional space. And another aspect, a huge piece as well, is having housing in the community. So supportive, affordable housing.
For the wider community, she says education is important when trying to increase support systems because there is still a huge stigma attached to gender based violence.
Because it can take place anywhere, it's also important for these conversations to be happening in the workplace. It's important for families to be sitting down and having these conversations. It's important for friends to be having these conversations, community members, and as well as addressing what healthy relationships look like for especially starting with youth.
Mavingi says people can head to moz.mb.ca to learn more about resources and supports, and anyone experiencing gender based violence can call their crisis line at 1-877 977 0007. In Winnipeg, Temi Olatunde, City News.